I'm here with Senior Vice President of Oracle Application Service Excellence, Maz Songerwala. Thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me, Fritz.
Okay, a lot to kind of unpack from your keynote here at CloudWorld Dubai, CloudWorld Tour Dubai. What would you say is like the number one takeaway?
Well, we covered a lot. And a lot of it starts with the philosophy around how we build applications at Oracle. It starts with delivering everything our customers need, both in the front office, in the back office, as well as with industries, and built on top of innovation that actually matters, not technology for technology's sake. This is where AI comes in. So we talked a lot about AI features, both generative and agentic, which are now being embedded into our various software products to actually allow customers accelerate and enable business outcomes. And we talked about how we're committed to customer success, regardless of where they're at on their journey, whether they just started implementing, whether they've been live for a few years and now considering the next set of things to go do. We saw a number of demos of some of our new AI agents across sales, finance, supply chain, HR, and really my most fun part was hearing from our customers themselves about their cloud journeys, what they've done to successfully leverage our applications to not only enable their businesses, but also transform their businesses.
Well, let's talk about AI, because that's the topic of the day. You talked about customers. Everybody wants to get the value, the benefit out of AI. What makes Oracle a great partner to start to get that value out of this great technology now?
Yeah, so this is an area when we talk about complete suite and our overall architecture, we're one of those companies which actually have apps as well as technology, and our apps use that technology. So we remove the burden of technical debt from our customers because our apps are using the latest and greatest innovations across the board, whether that's in our infrastructure, our database, our AI services, it's privacy and security. So we are able to inherit those capabilities as our OCI teams are looking at what's the most popular and most effective large language models right now. What are the best ways of doing retrieval augmented generation? And as we see that landscape evolve, and those capabilities now come into OCI, our applications immediately get able to take advantage of those, right, via API calls. We do that to then deliver specialized context-specific recommendations using customer data.
Right.
We are able to build extensibility so customers can bring their own AI capabilities to bear. And as we learn, and this landscape is going to continue to evolve, what's the best, we're able to very quickly take this up into our applications and then deliver that as part of quarterly updates to our customers, and they can use it immediately.
It's really interesting because I hear all the other software companies talking about how it's going to cost this much more. What about us?
No, we don't charge for AI. So you have to remember, applications enable business process. The outcome is the value. AI is just a technology which enriches and enables that outcome, faster, better, smarter, however you want to define it. So consequently, whenever you have a technology advancement, if it allows you to close your books faster, if it allows you to do payroll quicker, if it allows you to staff a role that you're hiring for in a much more optimal way, that's still the outcome we're looking for. So as these advancements come to market, we take advantage of those so that the outcome our customers are buying our apps for get delivered. So all of these AI capabilities we talk about within apps is part of the subscription.
It's just part of what you have. It's
exactly
like
right.
adding features.
Well, exactly. And we deliver quarterly updates, right? So hundreds of features every quarter new based on customer feedback of what's important to them. So consequently, when we deliver that, then it's a conversation with our customers around, okay, let's talk to you about how you can leverage these features to accelerate this particular, excel in this particular business process.
So pop quiz, how many AI features in our Fusion applications now?
Well, that's a number which continues to rise. We had 50 for generative AI last year, a calendar year ago.
Right.
Now we have over 100. We have 50 plus AI agents either in the product today or soon to be delivered, and we get our customers to provide feedback. Like, what are the other areas that they'd like to see us invest in, or are either tasks which are manual or too difficult to do, and that's what shapes what we will deliver.
Tell us a bit about autonomous work. powered by AI agents. You mentioned agents in the beginning. What agents are available across Fusion apps, and how are those things and things like autonomous work benefiting customers?
Yeah, so when we saw generative AI, it was really reactive, I would say, where we're providing recommendations for a human to then act upon, usually good for generating language, a job description that you would then review and post. With autonomous work, and AI agents specifically, we're able to take a more proactive approach. So the software itself can not only leverage large language models, but also retrieval augmented generation, RAG, to actually take over individual pieces of a business process or provide recommendations for what to do next to a particular individual. And this is, again, tied to things which in the past have been very manual or very difficult to go do. We saw a demo of somebody querying a benefits agent to really understand, based on my tenure and my prior elections and my specific plans, what would be the best set of options for me? And we did this in a way that this agent was able to query and find out all the answers which are relevant to this particular employee, and do so in a way where the actual data of the plan, which you could go to in detail, never left the secure Oracle database. Or we saw an agent which allowed I/O for documents. If you can imagine, when you're looking at a supplier quote, I need to create a purchase order, and language is one where there's an issue. For example, it's in Japanese or Arabic. It allowed the I/O to be automatically done with the agent, so that the actual task the individual employee had to do was the higher value activity. So agents allow elements of work to be done in a completely autonomous way, which again accelerates the outcome we're looking for that business process.
Right, and lifts the burden off the user.
Yeah, at least the things which may be more tedious or not high value, right? We all have things that we do on a day-to-day basis, which is like, wow, this could be so much easier than it actually is. If only I was making the decision now and not having to pull everything together. Another example is for talent reviews, right? If you're having a talent review conversation with your team about employees, the amount of heavy lifting it is to capture feedback about the individual, go talk to a lot of people, set up the meetings. We have an agent that does all of that. It assesses performance based on the tool sets we already have in our HR cloud. It sets up appropriate meetings with stakeholders to gauge feedback. It auto-populates a 9-box, so you can actually have a conversation about your talent, as opposed to spending 70% of your time creating the content to have a conversation about your talent.
So what's next for AI agents?
Well, we're going to continue to learn from our customers, right? We get 80% of our feedback around what goes into our roadmap comes from our customers through Cloud Customer Connect, our community portal. And based on those conversations that are happening, or suggestions from our customers, as well as client conversations, they'll really shape what are the areas or which business workflows would see the most benefit in any of our product areas, whether that's HR, finance, supply chain, sales, service, marketing, or even industry-specific applications. So we'll continue to see a lot more features roll out, both generative and agentic, over the next several quarters.
Well, let's take a look outside of AI. So besides that, what other exciting innovations are coming to Fusion applications, especially you just mentioned industries? What are we doing there? Yeah,
so look, more and more our customers have got end-to-end workflows enabled by Oracle, or their own third parties which have to then integrate. And feedback has been, wow, this is a pretty heavy burden to have to manage the individual pieces and have to flip from different screens or different apps to have something which should be end-to-end be delivered as end-to-end. So we're seeing a lot more integrations to make that experience extremely seamless, right? So that you can actually see from the very moment you start a business process, which may be very industry specific, which then ultimately has to show up in, a financial statement or an employee-related task, for example, time cards. How do we do that so that it's one place to go, one experience that the individual has to have, so that they can focus on what they have to do, which is their business, not the machinations of having to do input-output. So more and more customers will see an end-to-end seamless experience across not only the generic use cases you have for front office and back office, but very industry-specific ones too.
As we wrap up here in Dubai, why is an event like this so important for the Fusion application community?
Well, this is as much about community than anything else, right? Yeah, sure, it's good to hear about what Oracle is doing, what's coming out in the future, But what when I talk to customers, what I hear is the ability to talk to others about their experiences, what they're using the technology for, how they've overcome hurdles, right? It's not just the technology, but it's about change management. It's about how do you convince people that this is the new area they should be focusing on. That energy is really hard to replicate in a completely virtual way. So that's tremendous value. And any event like this, I think, helps just foster that community so that people can engage, network, and connect.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Maz.
It was a pleasure. Thank you too.